here live at the state soccer tournament on day one of the girls' action. We just got done taking in the 1A games. It's a beautiful day out here, and it seemed like everybody was up for it, right, Siebes?
Yeah, what a day. What a start to the event. What a start to the week. Gorgeous weather. Some good games action-wise, competitive games, and it's been a good day so far.
Yeah, absolutely. The 1A stuff is, as it just wrapped up, the 2A folks are coming in. This is Blake's favorite time of the year, right? You just love it when it's just like packed with fans and everybody from all over the state.
Yeah, I love the end of the 1A games and everybody starts showing up for the 2A, and then here in about 2 hours it'll be the 2A games are wrapping up and all the 3A teams will start showing up. So a ton of people, celebrations, roars, shrieks from all corners of County Soccer Complex.
Well, that's a great transition segue into our Des Moines Christian Van Meter matchup that we took in seeded number 2 was Des Moines Christian against the Van Meter number 7. And before we even start, the Des Moines Christian hooligans, their supporter section was incredible, right, Blake?
Yeah, best so far, best student section that has made it down here. So 2A games are kicking off, 3A games in a little bit, but as of now, the hooligans from Des Moines Christian, the Lions, are leading that.
We've got the biggest roar. What'd you think about the game, Siebes?
Yeah, so it was interesting, right? We talked, it was a matchup from earlier this season when Des Moines Christian beat Van Meter, didn't they?
Yeah, it was 5-0.
4-0. That's
4-0.
what I was trying. Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
delay because somebody had said 5. I thought it was 4, but yeah. So we were. It was an interesting matchup, and start out the game. You know, Van Meter scores a goal, maybe 15 minutes or so in, but unfortunately got called back, and then a few minutes later they hit the bar, and 30 seconds later the ball ends up in the back of the net for Jenna Roberts.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Van Meter, for the Bulldogs there. So the actual sequence of events was offside for the Bulldogs, and then the Lions turned around, marched down the field and scored, so that made it 1-0. Then
Soccer, cruel game. We always talk about, right?
So
One
cruel.
end, goal gets called back, and then 30 seconds later the ball's in the net.
Yeah, and then it just continued for him as well, because then Van Meter they looked like they were really back in the game at a certain point, and absolutely smashed one off the crossbar late in the first half there, which then turned, as it happens, Des Moines Christian came back down and scored, make it 2-0. So in the halftime, down 2-0, boss Tim Jacobs for Van Meter he didn't have a lot that he was planning to do, right? He thought he would just go back out there and handle it as is, because they were creating chances and doing well.
Yeah, the scoreline didn't really indicate it was a 2-0 game. So, but like you said, yep, the staff over there at Van Meter didn't really switch a lot of things up. And Des Moines Christian, interestingly enough, Dan Webster, our good friend, the second time we've talked to him now, they put a fourth player in midfield, so tactically made a couple changes.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that means they went from a 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2, so maybe protecting their lead a little bit. It mentioned another player on the other team, Mary, who I didn't get the last name on that one, but they were trying to shut somebody down, so they thought that would be a good route to do so. And ultimately, a game like that, when it's down 2-0, basically it's kind of like next goal really determines the game. So if the team that's winning scores to make it 3-0, it's a tough way back for the losing team. But if the team that's down can scrape back in, that can be trouble for the team. So ended up not being the case, unfortunately, for the Bulldogs, and Van Meter instead, Des Moines Christian scored that third goal.
One, and put it away, and Van Meter got a consolation. But 3-1 there. What game you want to talk to next?
Dyke New Hartford, first trip to state.
Friend of the pod, Sophie Hoffman, going to South Dakota State.
Yep. They took on Underwood. I don't even know where that is, to be honest. But that was the 3-6 matchup. I can't see.
Yeah,
that for you.
So they're the that winner is going to play Des Moines Christian, and Underwood came out just on fire. Go up 2-0, then get a third to go up 3-1 or 3-0, and then Dyke New Hartford comes storming back and actually made an unbelievable, frantic last maybe 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, Underwood actually also first-time qualifier for the state tournament. Young squad. Their top 6 goal scorers are freshmen and sophomores. Their freshman, Tealier Hull, has 28 goals already on the season, which is pretty amazing as a freshman.
Yeah, that is. So, ultimately, Underwood comes up top victorious. they did get a late additional. What do they call that?
Nail in the
insurance
coffin.
Goal. There you go. Nail in the coffin. 4-2. But I mean, pretty cool. Again, that field was right here next to us, and they brought Dyke New Hartford definitely brought the fans. Underwood did too. There's a bunch of college coaches in attendance watching, players from both schools. It sounded like, and as we talked to, so good little game there. So now you got Des Moines Christian against Underwood on Thursday. 10-15.
That's right. Let's move up to the top half of the bracket. Davenport Assumption, seeded number 1, took on Centerpoint Urbana. Davenport Assumption, I read that they have not lost a 1A game since 2015. They're looking for their 6th straight state tournament championship, and they haven't lost a postseason game under their current coach, Elizabeth Mouse. She's 33-0 in the postseason.
That's wild. I mean, they're a traditional powerhouse, and clearly there's a reason why.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really cool about that is that Elizabeth Mouse, I'm probably getting her name wrong. Yeah, Elizabeth Mouse. She actually won 2 state titles for Davenport Assumption back in the early 2000s, in 2002 and 2003. So a former winner, kind of translating some of her powers onto the squad. Also love when we get a female coach coaching the girls. There's just not enough of that out there, so super cool. You talk a little bit about Centerpoint Urbana quick.
Yeah, they had their hands full, though, with the Stormin' Pointers, which easily is the best nickname of the week, I think. But score a goal there. I don't know. We could kind of hear it and see it a little bit vaguely. It went up 1-0 in the first half and held on and took care of business.
Yep, no doubt about that. So Davenport Assumption will then take on Nevada, who won 1-0 over Bishop Heelan, and that was your 4-5 matchup. So number 5, Nevada, holding on for a 1-0 victory, and that was we saw Nevada go up 1-0, and then shortly thereafter a penalty called against them.
Yeah, late there in the second half, and what a save by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Maddie. We had a nice little interview with her. I'm gonna tell you.
This is a good. While Ben looks at it, this is a good plug. We did talk to a bunch of the girls on these teams underneath the tent, so be sure to kind of a press conference type environment.
Yeah, super cool. Maddie Dunham, senior, preserving her last couple of high school games, right? She gets to go on and play one more, at least. So.
And, yeah, we've got a big traditional powerhouse matchup now. We've got Nevada against Davenport Assumption on the top half and kind of some newcomers in Des Moines Christian and Underwood in the second part of that bracket.
Yeah, so we'll be looking forward to getting back on Thursday to check out the semifinal action. Let's move on and talk about some 2A here, Siebes.
Let's do it.
All right, back again live here at County in Des Moines for a little 2A recap. We just watched the Norwalk Warriors take on the Lewis Central. I don't know what's their mascot. Do we know?
Titans.
The Titans?
Titans.
Okay, let's say Titans for now. We got to watch that game, but then what else do we have going on today? We had Dallas Center Grimes playing North Polk, Spencer and Cedar Rapids Xavier, Waverly Shell Rock and North Scott, and then as we said, we took in Norwalk and Lewis Central. We've also got Norwalk legend Kaysen Kral here. Kaysen trains a lot of the girls, but then also graduated from Norwalk back in what year, Kayso?
2017.
Did you ever win state, Kaysen?
Couple times.
A couple? Only 2?
3.
Hey, that's what we were talking about right there. Well, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. We know you've got the insight.
Yeah, is this the first time you've ever been on a pod?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh,
He was nervous.
He was a little nervous, yeah.
Specifically with Kick It Forward, so I'm excited.
Good deal. Well, we'll start down at the bottom of the bracket and talk through our viewing of third-seeded Norwalk as they took on Lewis Central, who's the 6th seed. What did you see, Kaysen? I mean, it was a tough first half for sure, right?
Can I real quick?
Of course.
So it's interesting that these two teams played mid-May, and Norwalk won 3-0. So definitely some interesting things being done beforehand, I think. So sorry, Ben, but
No, go ahead.
let's hear the analysis from the I don't know. We got to think of a name for him by the end of this, Ben.
Yeah.
Kaysen.
Kaysen, the commentator.
No, I just think coming off a 3-0 win against them previously in the season doesn't play into our favor. You come in thinking it's going to be easy. It could be a little loose in the morning, but I don't know. I just saw a negative, slow start from us. And when you're at the biggest stage, you just got to come out firing, whether it's clearing the ball in your box, but just putting no risk upon yourself. So I was happy to see him bounce back from that 1-0 deficit. To come out firing in the second half was a good response for sure in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, so we talked to Andrew Messer, the coach, at halftime, albeit very briefly, and he was not the happiest of gentlemen there, obviously being down 1-0. So what, Kaysen, what did you think? What would have your message have been to the girls after watching the first half? Being down 1-0, obviously not playing well. What would Coach Kaysen's message be?
I was thinking to myself at halftime, my clear-cut message would be it's 80 minutes, right? Like, that's such a long time, especially compared to other sports. Soccer always comes down to moments, though. So you can lose a game even if you're dominating the whole thing. But I would just say stay together, and that first 5 minutes is just an absolute message. And to respond in the first 4 is crucial. It's the perfect response you could have in a second half. So very proud of them for sure.
Yeah, if I'm Lewis Central and I see that happen in that first 5 minutes of the second half, I'm not excited.
Yeah, gutted. I mean, is the perfect response you could have had. So
yeah, and Jesse Smith, the Lewis Central coach, I mean, you talk about the difference of appearance at halftime, right? He was pumped up, giving everybody high fives, super energetic, obviously elated, and Norwalk kind of head down.
Yep.
It was just an interesting contrast of halftime walk-offs.
Yeah.
So, but then, I mean, Norwalk, Case talk about JoJo Bice. I mean, there's a reason why she's as good of a player as she is. I'd never seen her play.
Yep.
So, talk about dynamic and composed finisher. And
Yep.
Where's she going next year, Case?
So she's committed to Iowa State.
Or no, so not next year. She's one early commit.
No, yeah, so she's going there next year.
Oh, okay,
she's a
sorry.
senior. Been committed for a while. Iowa State actually had a coaching change, I'm pretty sure, on that statement.
Yeah.
And they also retained her with that coaching change. So I was really happy for her. But to speak upon her while I'm here, I mean, that girl just puts in time, like just incredible time, whether it's doing stuff for athleticism, extra stuff. I've actually been training her for 2 years now. So to really see that come to fruition is amazing, especially her being my very first. And she's an unbelievable basketball player, and we would have sessions before her basketball games. Like, she's that committed. So to see somebody take over and perform at the highest level is very rewarding to see it come from somebody who puts in the time.
40 goals on the year, plus 11 assists. That's in the regular season. I just was looking across. She's taken 126 shots, and so if she scored 40 of them, we're talking almost about 30% of the time. She's 33% of the time, whatever, she's scoring. So that's pretty wild. And I mean, it was just like as soon as she got in behind, it was kind of like, well, there's a goal. Like, you didn't even have to. It was kind of automatic, right? Yep.
So there's actually times I can actually speak upon. 2 weeks ago, her and her mother texted me, hey, she had a bad performance. And I was like, yeah, why is that? She goes, well, she missed a couple shots. I'm like, she still had 3 goals. Like, it's all right. But sure enough, they got a big game the next day, and she's not too concerned about overdoing it or overtraining. We get together, and she just wants to practice finishing for an hour. So, I mean, that's 2 weeks ago, and I just give her reps, whether it's 6 yards away from the goal, 12 yards away from the goal, and she's just eyes in the corner, just reps after reps. So, yeah, she's always doing that stuff, which is no surprise to me why she's 3 for 3 today.
Yeah. Who are your other standouts on that squad? Like, if you've got to name 2 or 3 other players that you want to make the team happen.
Yep. That's tough for me. I hate to do that because I trained 15 to 20 of them, to be honest. But
anybody that stood out that like just made a ton of progress, like, so maybe give us that shout.
Okay. A ton of progress. To piggy on that one for sure. Reagan Holtorf. She's one of the girls that's actually going to be wrapping up her career this year, so she's a senior, so I'm excited to talk about her. But she's the one that really turned a corner in the last year. So I've had her for probably a year to date. Right after last year's tournament, she wanted to start training with me, and she's just absolutely night and day. She's always been athletic, but to really get her feet under control, learning the game, connecting the dots has been huge. And then Anna Larson, she plays the 6. She wants to play college soccer someday, and she's only a sophomore. And just talk about being absolutely poised. That's her. So he gets it, moves it. So yeah, I could go straight down the line. There's a lot of seniors, juniors on that team, but as far as progress, those 2 specifically: a sophomore that's showing up, and then also a senior who's really turned the corner.
Love it.
So let's get a little plug in.
We should.
For what you're doing, what their opportunities are, and how these girls have been doing stuff outside of it. So talk a little bit about Casey Performance
and Fitness.
There you go.
So I kept that name broad just because I want to do more with them than just soccer specifically. But
Well, you also have a background in sports science, correct?
Yep, kinesiology is my degree, so a personal trainer as well. But yeah, it's
If you can't tell by the guns he's sporting here.
Get out of here.
He did. So that's our plug. Like, let us on YouTube
Yeah.
because he's worn a shirt that's 3 sizes too small.
No. So it was actually, I shouldn't say an accident, but it was JoJo was my first one during COVID 2020. She just wanted somebody to train with. I was with Drake, and we weren't training either. So we just started training together. She's an athletic girl, has good feet. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then it's just taken off since then. So it's just an opportunity for players in Des Moines Metro just to get a ton of reps, work on their weaknesses, stuff like that. And yeah, she was the very first, and now we're up to 180 kids in the system.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little shout too on the opposite end of the spectrum. I have a person that I work with whose grandson was looking to just get a little bit more into soccer and lives down in the Norwalk area, and I was like, you know what, call my boy Kaysen. And so he showed up, I think, for one of the winter things, but they're excited because they're coming all summer now too. So
Yep.
they love it.
Built-in referral fee, Ben, hopefully for you.
Kaysen's got me.
Goes around, comes down.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about the other side of the bracket before we just go in on the Norwalk Love Fest, and we can circle back at the end, because I think really, like, the teams that are left in it are all kind of thorns in Norwalk's side. So they'll end up taking on Waverly Shell Rock, who was the second seed. They've only lost once all year, and they beat North Scott 2-1. I don't know if you caught any of that game. I did not. It was behind us, but the word is that Waverly Shell Rock is quite good. What do you know? You do know that they played
Yep.
Norwalk a few weeks ago.
So my only two pieces with this that I would be familiar with would be Waverly Shell Rock. We played in a doubleheader a couple weeks ago, and it was like a doubleheader on a Friday night, which I've never heard of. Two games, and they're both shortened games. Supposedly we lost, I think, in a PK shootout.
Yeah, it was 1-0.
So that, I mean, it happens. And then DCG is the other that's going to be a big one. Supposedly they won big today.
DCG undefeated on the year,
Yep.
19-0, the 1 seed. They ran rampant over North Polk 5-0.
Yep.
And
So-
it was 5-0 at like half.
Yep. To give a little perspective on that, Norwalk beat DCG last year in the regular season, and then we lost to them, I believe, in the state semis last year in the tournament. This year we played them for the conference title, and we lost to them in the regular season. And now Norwalk's looking for a rematch against DCG. Hopefully in the title game, I think, is where they would match up. So that would be a big one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So DCG 5-0 over North Polk. The word we got from them was that they're really athletic, very direct, and just pretty much unstoppable is what it sounds like. No offense, Norwalk or whoever. And then the 4 seed, 5 seed game was Spencer as they took on Cedar Rapids Xavier. The Saints rolling out victorious 3-1.
It's first, all 3 goals in the first 20 minutes, and so I was thinking there's going to be an absolute thriller, and then it kind of died down. But what a start to that game!
Yeah, for sure. I think so. That ends up giving us DCG, Dallas Center Grimes, taking on Cedar Rapids Xavier on Thursday at the top end of the bracket, and then the bottom half of the bracket is Waverly Shell Rock as they take on Norwalk. The winners of those games will meet on Saturday in the final. Oh, and if you just hear that, we've got 3A games that have just kicked off behind us. Some action going
Looks
on.
like Ankeny Centennial 1-0 up over Northwest.
Okay, well, let's wrap things up here, and we'll get to some action. Follow us for the 3A stuff here soon. All right, here we are again live at the Girls State Tournament on day 1. We just finishing up the 3A action. Blake forgot to turn his cell phone off. It's a great chirp if you're listening to this on the podcast. Check us out on YouTube, where we will be covering the games all week long. We've been here all day today. It's been a beautiful day. I think we're all a little bit sunburnt now. What about you, Matt? Well, I guess I'm sorry. I should wait a second. Let me introduce. We've got the Titan tactician here today, Matt Sahag. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Hey, I'm actually good. I watched the Valley Muscatine game in the shade. So
smart man.
That's right. But I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Great. How you doing over there, Blake? You going to jump in?
I am. This is great. Everything's kind of wrapping up here, but weather was perfect. Crowds turned out like crazy. A lot of goals, a lot of close, good games between the 3 classes. So should we just dive into since we have the Titan tactician, or you want to?
No, yeah, I'll jump in. Are you going to put your phone on silent there, Hollywood?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, good. Well, let's just start on talking about the game that we took on in Blake quick. Just before we, because I'm sure we'll get astute analysis from the Titan tactician. So we watched Centennial take on Waukee Northwest. Pretty good game.
Yeah, rematch from earlier in the season where Northwest won 1-0, I believe, but Northwest won. And again, they played on the field here, right behind the concession stand, so kind of a focal point and good crowd. Obviously, both schools being local, but
so Centennial goes up early, 1-0. Ends up 1-1 going into halftime.
Yeah, and I think let's just talk really quickly and briefly, Ben, about that. So Centennial had to run a play for the first, 15 minutes or so, scored the goal, and then things changed a little bit, and Northwest gets a penalty, which sounded like it may have been debatable, but where we were at, it looked like a clear penalty, but we were also 140 yards away.
Well, referee Charlie Bales also saw it and confirmed stonewall penalty, he said. So I couldn't see who stepped up to take it, but shot low to the right. Keeper made a great save, but Northwest reacted first and smashed it home to make it 1-1.
Yeah, the penalty kicker got it blocked, but then scored the rebound.
Yeah, great reaction, really,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like if you're the coach and your kid misses it, that's one thing, but to have the positive reactions makes it way better. So anyway, ends up 2-1. The rest of the game was a little nervy, but I think Centennial, deservedly so, ran out winners. And so then they will take on Valley on Thursday. So let's talk a little bit about that game, Matt. What'd you think about my Valley Tigers?
Sure. Well, they got the result. I think if you asked them, they probably didn't maybe perform as well as they would have liked. To be honest with you,
how was Muscatine?
Well, they were tough, and unexpectedly, in my opinion, tough. To be honest with you, I expected to go over there and see the 1 seed roll Muscatine, but that's not really what happened. As you would expect, I mean, Muscatine was a big, strong, physical, just sort of industrial side who fought for everything, played very compact and and were difficult for Valley to break down. Now that said, if Valley gets an early goal, so again, and I missed the early goal, but I walked over, there was already 1-0 in the first couple of minutes in the game, and so you're expecting the game to open up very, very quickly. But actually the opposite happened. Muscatine just kind of hung in there, and they actually got the equalizer to go 1-1, which made it for a tense first half.
Well, when I look just down at the results here for the Tigers over the year, they're undefeated, but then I see 6 goals given up, 7 goals, something like that over the entire year. In most of their games, they're shutting teams out and running the score up. So to go into halftime tied up, we asked Coach Chapman what he said, but what would you have said to the girls?
Well, if I was the coach, I would have said, hey, you're in a quarterfinal in the state tournament, and these quarterfinals are ordinarily never easy. You've got a bunch of different other factors that happen when you're in an elimination game, such as nerves and pressure that just make things different. And so, to me, going into halftime, well, first of all, they went into halftime 2-1.
Okay.
But I think even so, that the messaging probably from the sideline was hang in there, weather the storm, and we've got to get the next goal, so that we've got the momentum going into half. And so really, what happened actually was the momentum slowly shifted back into Valley's favor, and you could feel the second goal coming. And Avery Galloway actually drew a foul. Just over the halfway line. She had a nice little dive, a little over dramatic for me, Avery, but it was a great play by Avery, who, by the way, was easily the player of the match. She was the best player on the field by far. For one of the reasons being because she wins everything, and we've watched her play for a long time, but she's involved in everything, in every tackle, and she won the tackle, got fouled, and then that set up a free kick. Balls get served into the box, and they end up going ahead 2-1, and it meant a lot going into halftime, I think, up 2-1.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Who else was sort of standing out then in the second half? Or were there any Muskies that stood out to you?
You said there was one that was there one that was pretty good?
I think they just played cohesively well as a team. To me, not there was no really one player that actually stood out to me. They were just tough to break down. And I think, Valley plays, it looks like, with 3 strikers up front, and they crowded everything, and and Valley tried to would play a lot sideways into the wing, and they really couldn't get anything going in direct. And so I guess that's one small tactical change that I would make if I was the Valley coach. Or the Valley team, I would start trying to play into their center forwards' feet and then start playing little balls in behind into their wingers. I think that would open up the game quite a bit. But most of the time, the Valley strikers would get the ball with their backs to where they wanted to go next, and I think it just made for a really compact game, and there wasn't a lot of balls that got played in behind.
So before we shift to the bottom half of the bracket, Valley will take on Centennial on Thursday afternoon. I know you've seen Centennial play before because we saw them at the Pack Pitch Night. What do you think? It's a pretty big matchup. Tigers are going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great matchup. So, I mean, you've got two teams into the semifinal, knowing that if they win, they're in the final. Crosstown rivals. A lot of the kids, I'm sure, play together on the same team. So there's that added element of fun. But, I would anticipate that we'll see some good friends have a little, good little friendly tackles into the game, and it'll be a nice competitive match. And of course, everyone will walk off in handshakes, and somebody really, really happy, and the other person will be not happy.
Well, it's great because these two teams met in the semifinal last year.
What was the score?
2-1. With Valley coming on, obviously Valley defending champions, but coming up victorious. So,
well, and that sounds like the same story here. They met in the regular season, 1-0 victory for the Tigers as well. So Centennial will be on their revenge tour here, hopefully, from their standpoint, and hopefully my Tigers will make a couple of tactical adjustments and find themselves in a second consecutive final.
Go ahead.
Why don't we shift down to the bottom half of the bracket? Behind us, we had Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln defeat Dowling Catholic 3-0. Our boy JP over there at Dowling, unfortunately on the wrong end of that score line. It looked like it was really never in doubt, though. It seemed like Council Bluffs sort of scored, and that was who we were hearing cheer. And it was the goals were spaced out enough that it wasn't like, boom, boom, boom. It was like goal, and then some time would pass, and they'd score again, and some time would pass. So it just didn't seem like Dowling was in that game much.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I've watched a little bit of it, and every time Council Bluffs had the ball, and really it didn't look like Dowling was much of a threat. And I think maybe Council Bluffs, Lincoln might be the bit of the sleeper. As what are they? They got a lot of wins, 15-3. They've only lost this year to Valley, Scott Catholic, and Ankeny.
And what were their results with Valley and Ankeny like?
2-1 they lost to Valley, and they lost 1-0 to Ankeny. So I think it's cool and a little bit different that we've got a western side team making some noise.
Well, yeah, I was going to just mention, I think it's interesting. So Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln will take on Ankeny, who we'll talk about here in just a second, but no eastern state side of the state teams in the semifinals. And pretty central Iowa heavy with when was the last time a Council Bluffs team that we watched made it this far? Then I guess the year they had that really tall goalie that was awesome that went to
on the
Louisville.
Boys side, yeah.
Anyway, so then Ankeny, the 3 seed, took on Pleasant Valley, scored late with about, maybe 5 minutes left or so, 10 minutes left, to make it 1-0. And so they will round out the Final Four. So it'll be Valley against Centennial and Council Bluffs against Ankeny, Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln, that is. And some really potential tasty final matchups. I'd love to see a Centennial Ankeny Hawks final. Even though that means that the Tigers aren't there.
Yeah, I think Valley's obviously, the favorite, but you never know. That's why you play the games. Isn't that what they say?
That's right. Well, regardless, we've got 4 teams that have played each other, it sounds like a few different times over the years, or over this last year, and have been close games every time, so we should be in for a treat on Thursday. Hopefully, you guys will join us again tomorrow for the boys' side. We're going to be here all day, and it's supposed to be beautiful. Otherwise, we'll catch you on Thursday for another great day of girls soccer, and we'll have a nice recap for you. And who we need to give one more quick shout out to? Our boy Casey Crawl. Casey Performance and Fitness helped us out there for a little bit. Always good to give him a shout.
Absolutely. Hopefully those arms, those biceps will look a little different on Thursday, Ben.
Maybe tanned a little bit. And thanks again to the Titan Tactician, Matt Sahag, for joining us. We'll catch you again next time.